The lights are red, and then they go out for the final time of the British Talent Cup in 2019. Great start again from Fenton Seabright, the number 22, and look who's just behind him. Rocket start from Scott Ogden there. In a reminder yet again as we head into turn one, whoever finishes in front of the other, Cameron Horseman or Scott Ogden, they will take the British Talent Cup title. Where is Cameron Horseman? He's been punted way back, but Scott Ogden straight through into the lead. This is exactly what he needs to do, Fran.
Yeah, very much went the way of one of our title contenders there. Scott Ogden, great start, and then slicing straight through to take the lead. Cameron Horseman looks like he's lost, well, he's probably gained a couple of positions. Let's have a look. No, he's remained exactly where he was on the grid, which was a thanks graphics just in time to embarrass me. But yeah, not the start we used to see him from Horseman there, and he'll be wanting to make some really quick progress there. And Scott Ogden, you can see then moving right over to try and get out that slipstream. I'm not sure if it's going to pay off. It doesn't look like it has.
It definitely didn't. I think he was trying to get a good look at whereabouts his championship rival is, but he's nowhere to be seen just at this present moment in time. But Scott Ogden's lost a few places there. Horseman's going up the inside intervale of a couple of riders. Is this where it gets really tense? This is arguably the tightest part of the track before we actually get to the arrowhead. Everyone's safely through at this part of the first lap, though. I don't wish a commentator's curse, though, at this stage. There is Cameron Horseman. So he's on the back of the leading group now, keeping a close eye on these guys. Fenton Seabright out front from Jack Nixon. Scott Ogden looking up the inside of Nixon. Doesn't make it through, though. Risa Irwin just behind him is the Irishman.
Yeah, some great action already then in the British Talent Cup. Good news for Horseman, despite not making quite as much progress as he would have liked off the start. Wow, there's some dive bombs going on there.
Dive bomb. Darren Binder's making a wild card in the British Talent Cup, it seems. My goodness, they've been watching Moto 3. What's even happened there? Scott Ogden gets sat up big style there, but the big winner there is Fenton Seabright. He's got a couple of bike legs from that move. I don't know who really calls that. I hope we get a replay.
Yeah, that was some pretty close action there, but like you say, Seabright has emerged in the head of the race with a little bit of breathing space, and it looks like Ogden and Horseman then just one bike make that no bikes apart on track as Horseman dives up the inside of whoever was ahead of him. I think it's Jack Hart, and he is now behind his key rival in the championship there, which is exactly what they will both be wanting.
Brian Hart's made his way through to the front pack as well. He's just ahead of Scott Ogden there. Look at this then, the number 23 and the number 4. Cameron Horseman and Scott Ogden inseparable in the championship. Inseparable as they come across the line to finish this first lap. Down into Cops Corner again. Who's going to break first? Oh my goodness. Some wild overtaking moves there. So much on the line on this final British Talent Cup race as we're looking. That was looking ahead from Horseman's machine at Scott Ogden. He's moving up the inside as he's going to run over the curbs. Just about makes it through. They are neck and neck. This is just absolutely extraordinary stuff. Someone bring me a wet flannel already. He's through an Ogden at this stage.
He is. That was really, really nice from Cameron Horseman. Well controlled and made it count there. Looked like he was going to maybe try it at the first apex, but didn't quite go for it at the moment then. Pretty feisty action in the early stages. And these guys, remember, there's only 2 of them up for the title. The rest of them are just
playing for
racing
pride.
for exactly. So really, really good stuff so far. And everything pretty clean despite the chaos, but definitely some dive bomb Darren Binder moves out there so far.
Well, Brian Hart's made his way up to second in the race at the moment, but Horseman, he's saying absolutely not, sunshine. That is my territory now, and they've got to be careful because Fenton Seabright, he may only have a couple of bike lengths. He had a second, 1.1 seconds as they came across the line last time. That is being closed down ever so slightly, and probably close it down a little bit more with the slipstream effect coming on soon. Blimey, who's that in the background going way wide over the green stuff? Mind your track limits, sunshine. There's Scott Ogden behind Rhys Irwin now.
Yeah, it's good news for Horseman then. He's managed to just get ahead of that squabble, and now he's the man tagged onto the back of Seabright, almost just making up those meters. Ogden then still languishing slightly in this little squabble, but I'm sure we've seen from him before that he's able to cut his way through, and perfectly illustrated there by a move, I think, on Jack Nixon was that.
Yes.
Really nicely done then from Scott Ogden. He'll be perfectly aware of who is ahead of him and where. So we've got Rhys Irwin and Brian Hart then next on the radar.
Perfectly precise move then from Scott Ogden as they headed into our head. Lots of wide lines there with these guys really trying to make sure they have the best run out possible onto the Wellington straight there so as not to get overtaken too extravagantly as they come down into Brooklands. Keep an eye on Horseman. He's really closing down Fenton Seabright, the number 22, ahead of him now. Fenton Seabright, of course, who started from pole position. Now we're on the run towards Woodcote Corner. There is a championship update. So Horseman at this stage would take the win, but that will not last for more than a few corners, I suspect. Are we going to see anybody dive up the inside here? No, not this time.
Yeah, just remember, there are some maths to be done, but if one rider is ahead of the other, that's all you need to know. That's who will take the cup. So you can see Horseman now extremely close on the back of Seabright, managed to cut that gap incredibly quickly, has the number 23. And I wouldn't be surprised if he makes a move as soon as he has arrived on the scene, because he will want to get past as soon as possible with that number 4 lurking just behind him now.
Yeah, look at that. He's managed to work his way back out through the front of that chasing pack. He's in 3rd spot. He knows exactly what he wants, and he looks as though he wants to get it as Horseman overtakes Seabright out of the slipstream. Is Seabright going to get him back, though, on the braking down into Stowe? Is who's going to blink first? Well, it's going to be it's going to be Horseman who blinked first there, but he's going to cut back on the inside of him as they've got it run down into Vale. Bit wider now is Seabright, but is that going to affect it coming out to Vale? Yes, it is. Horseman moving up the inside again, although Ogden getting just overtaken there by Rhys Irwin. So the pack is all back together now. Seabright's advantage has gone.
Yeah, I really do think, just a hunch, no real data to back this up at the moment, I really do think we are going to end up with a 23 versus number 4 duel at the front of this race at some point.
Ooh, you're willing to put money on that. Someone going really wide yet again. I mean,
yeah, it's a few interesting lines around there.
Interesting lines. I'm not sure Race Direction would agree. They would just decide those as illegal lines, pretty much. As we see, Irwin is in this top 4 now. Oh, he's maybe going to move up the inside of Seabright. That was Rhys Irwin. Very nice move there, although I thought Ogden was going to go with it, not quite, but this is, oh, he's gone up the inside of Horseman now. He took advantage of the wide lines all these guys have been taking, but how will that affect his drive down the Wellington Straight now? Yeah,
I can imagine Horseman will be pretty eager to hit back there. We saw yesterday as well, he was very eager to lead the race. So many abreast now, 4 abreast. There's not space, guys. You've got to pick who's going in there first. I think it might be, yeah, it's going to be Seabright. He just holds on to it. We have Horseman there now behind Ogden.
So that is really illustrative of how much, okay, it's very, very tempting to take that inside line round the arrowhead, but it will make you lose out on the Wellington Straight there. Rhys Irwin, case in point. I hope the riders ahead of him, who've just managed to overtake him through that manoeuvre, have actually took notice of that and realised that's what they need to do if they're to carry on, as we're seeing number 19. Who is that? That's Charlie Farrer going round the outside there. Trying to go full Barry Sheen on Kenny Roberts there from the 40th anniversary, of course.
Or something else that happened today as well. Yeah, so we have Ogden in the lead then, and Seabright had passed Horseman. Horseman then 3 abreast as he muscles his way back through onto the tail end of his key rival then. So we have the 2 of them in the lead of this race at the moment, and Fenton Seabright just behind the man who started from pole, and the likes of Charlie Farrer and Rhys Irwin then just lurking behind this front trio.
Fanwell, dare I say it, could you be absolutely spot on in your prediction? Well, we have 8 laps to go still. Look at them 2, the championship contenders, neck and neck. Completely wrong track feed. We don't need that one. They'll be round there in a couple of minutes' time. Oh, Seabright going around the outside. He's currently in the lead at the moment. Look at that. Number 19, Charlie Farrer, has made his way up to the podium position. He's second now. How on earth did that happen?
Yeah, that was nicely done from Farrer. Just spotted that if he did stay behind Seabright, who looked like he was going to head in there first, that you might be able to profit from that slipstream right until they had to brake, but didn't quite keep it on the exit. But Charlie Farrer then has split the title contenders at the moment. I don't know, I think tactically it's going to be an interesting one. Do the 2 want to be out front and racing each other, or does one want to be trying to put space in between him and his rival? Because everyone else can take points off the other, but at the moment it's simply one-on-one. Whoever finishes ahead of the other will win, as we've said. So it's less of a maths game than we get quite often in title deciders.
Yeah, quite right. And as Scott Ogden makes his move up the inside of Fenton Seabright again there into the arrowhead. Well, the other interesting factor about these guys is you put them in any sort of situation and they've dealt with the pressure extremely well. Like you said yesterday, Horseman just managed to put in that wonder lap when he really needs to, and then Ogden, for example, when he makes a mistake in qualifying, qualifies really low down, still manages to get up towards the podium. We've not yet seen these guys really crack under pressure per se.
We really haven't. We've seen them both deal with it extremely well. You can see they're back together on track then. Oh, Cameron Horseman just keeping it in there. Oh,
Farrer's into the lead
close,
though, as he just muscles Fenton Seabright out of the way.
It's hard to know where to look, to be honest. But yeah, neither of them, like you say, have cracked under pressure. Like we said as well, obviously Ogden had that one crash in qualifying, but even then the pressure on race day was huge and he dealt with it incredibly. 4 abreast now for the lead of this race, but they're still managing to make a little bit of a gap back to those just behind in that second group, where we've got Nixon, Irwin, Jack Hart, Brian Hart. fighting it out again with Harvey Claridge. Shout out, another good position for him today on Sunday. But these guys then, it's getting really close here.
Abreast coming into Maggots and Beckett's. How about that? And I tell you what, with these lightweight machines being so manoeuvrable, the amount of cutting noses off when they're trying to make some moves is really getting my heart jumping, I must say. A couple of moments down a Vale, it was Charlie Farrer cutting across the nose of Cameron Horseman. I thought, please don't touch him.
Yeah, with the camera angles, sometimes you get a little bit of a heart attack when maybe it's not quite as necessary if you can see it from a different angle. But these guys then, what a race we have at the moment. But Farrer and Seabright then are the two in the lead at the moment, all pretty close. But Ogden Horseman still very much tagged together at the moment.
I feel incredibly sorry for our graphics department trying to keep up with this. I mean, of course, the computer graphics will all be computerized, but of course, they're really struggling to keep up, such is the nature of this race so far. 7 laps to go. We're not even halfway through, and it's been action-packed so far. The championship contenders yet again fighting it out between each other here. Fenton Seabright got a little bit of daylight, just a single or 2 bike lengths between him and Charlie Farrer. That probably won't last as Scott Ogden looking up the inside of Farrer. Doesn't go for it this time. Here's Jack Nixon, second place yesterday. He's got to close down that gap to the front runners if he wants another chance at that podium again. Look at this though, who's moving up the inside of there? It's just getting a bit too frantic for me to be able to cope with this.
Yeah, it's a little bit difficult to tell again from that angle. Is Horseman going to go for it? Is he not? But yeah, it did look like that gap back to that second group had grown a little bit more. Now they seem a wee bit closer again.
Who's that done? It's Harvey
Claridge. A shame to see him go down there. Ryder up and okay, obviously. If you can get back in the race, that's always good to get a few more laps under your belt. But that's a shame then for Harvey Claridge.
Not the end of the season that he would have wanted, especially after yesterday's personal best race that we've seen from him for quite a while. But as one falls, the others continue. We've still got Horseman and Ogden at the back of this quartet here. Fenton Seabright just out front. Charlie Farrer behind him, the number 19. Not seen anything from Scott Swan, has just ended up losing my voice there, nearly swallowed a fly. Scott Swan down into 10th place. I did expect him to be hampering the podium, boys, but look at this. Horseman looking at the inside of Farrer. He knows who's exactly behind him. He is well aware where that number 4 is now. But look at that, the fastest lap of the race so far, 2:19.397 from Fenton Seabright. His best lap in qualifying was a 2:18.867. I think we're at the point now with the action on track. There's no chance of these guys setting record laps all over the shop in this race, is there?
Well, you never know, you never know. But yeah, it's Seabright then. He did seem to get a bit of a cleaner lap that time around, didn't get too much hassle from the guys behind, and that paid off in the lap time. But Horseman then has made his way past Farrer, is out of the clutches of Ogden a little bit, and now looks like he's going to attack for the lead already.
Still looking at Nixon in the background there, cutting off Rhys Irwin's nose. Brian Hart behind him, Jack Hart alongside them. Of course, they're not related. One's Scottish, one's not. Who's that round the outside? That looked like Scott Ogden, was it? No, sorry. Fenton Seabright around the outside of Charlie Farrer. We got a new leader again. Cameron Horseman leads as we go into the Vale. Scott Ogden paying very close attention to that. He won't want him to get away, although I'm sure he is well aware that he won't be able to get away at the moment. Who's that? So Shay down in the background. Oh, what a shame for him. So a couple of crashes in this race as he gives a wave to the crowd. Hi, Mum, I'm fine, thank you very much. Cameron Horseman then, the number 23, leads from the 22, your pole sitter, Fenton Seabright, and multiple race winner. We talk about pressure, Fran, with the 2 championship contenders, but arguably there would have been 3. But Fenton Seabright is one of the riders who we have seen crack under pressure quite a few times, notably race 2 at Snetterton. Yeah,
he's had a couple of DNFs, has Seabright, and just that inconsistency in being able to stay on the podium, race in, race out. Bit of a slower start to the season for Fenton as well, but since then he's been a real threat at the front, and like we said, won some races, sometimes in really, really dominant style as well, and laid down some serious benchmarks. These two, though, it'll be interesting to see what they do. I think, oh no, I thought he was going to go for it there. I think maybe one of the guys who's not been on the podium quite as much would have gone for that move there, but Seabright just deciding, okay, I want to be in with a shout at this race at the end, as well as obviously not wanting to risk skittling someone who's up for the cup.
There is a little bit of camaraderie that goes around with the British Talent Cup as well, though these guys do all travel together as part of it, so you don't want to be taking out somebody, even though you may not be the best of friends, you are all rivals competing for a cup, a win and whatnot, but it's just not very kosher thing to do, really. So Fenton Seabright clearly thought twice about that one.
Yeah, we had the end of season ceremony on Saturday morning before race 1, and there was a replay in the recap video of when Horseman got skittles at Snetterton, and there was a ripple of ooh through all of the riders. So it's definitely, so there's great sportsmanship amongst this field, and definitely, there's no recklessness really. There's certainly aggression, but there's definitely limits set for everyone out here, and we've had some really cracking races because of it. So at the moment then, Horseman, I thought maybe this would be the time to try and pull the pin. Either he can't, or he's decided no.
He's just got absolutely mugged by Fenton Seabright though, and that was Charlie Farrer just nearby coming up his inside as well, but didn't quite make it there as we're Horseman starting to make a horse move as we go down into Vale, as I said yesterday. What a mess up that was, but I think we'll make it stick. It's quite a cool catchphrase anyways. Is the bearded number 23. What's happened to Ogden though? He's been mugged by Rhys Irwin now. The Irishman decided to get involved yet again. So that group of 4 has really now become a group of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 riders there. That was some quick maths, wasn't it?
But, I mean, that's not maths, that's just counting.
It's still partly involving numbers, but we're at Farm Curve at the moment though. Is anyone going to be making any daring moves out the inside into the Arrowhead now though? Scott Ogden's, wow, he came from really far back then on Charlie Farrer. I was just about to say he's got the best of Rhys Irwin again through Farm Curve, but did not expect it to go through up the inside of Charlie Farrer there, and hasn't even impeded his run out onto the straight either.
Really, really nice stuff from Ogden there. That's exactly what's characterised a lot of Scott Ogden's races. Just aggression, but absolute precision as well. He's really been quality at getting through the guys he needs to try and make some progress in races. Farrer, of course, isn't just going to sit there and take it. Looks like he's already made a move to try and take it back. But a really nice move there from Ogden, and you can see Fenton now looking a little bit impatient to get past the number 23 ahead of him.
You can see why Scott Ogden was quite keen to get through there. These guys just got a little bit of breathing space between the front 2 there and the chasing pack. So Farrer has got the better of them again. He's back into 3rd place. Scott Ogden is coming under pressure from Rhys Irwin once again. He's not going to be thanking him for that one for sure, but we'll see whether they can catch up with them again coming down the Hanger straight.
Yeah, you could just see how close Horseman and Seabright were there on the tip into turn 1, but Horseman absolutely immovable to keep it ahead of Fenton. But it's all getting pretty feisty again in this fight. But the man on the move at the moment then was Rhys Irwin last time around. The Irishman setting a 2:18.9, if I read that correctly before it disappeared. Apologies. So yeah, some nice stuff from those guys, some impressive moves, but Ogden, I'm sure, will be impatient to see no more of that and get immediately quickly back past them, because the front 2 certainly look pretty steady at the moment. They're just got a little bit of daylight, but they look very much in control of themselves there at the front, do Horseman and Seabright.
And I'll tell you what, Fran, that is one of the only 2 18 laps we've seen all weekend from the British Talent Cup boys. There was only a couple, there was only 2 in qualifying, and there was only 1 yesterday. That was by one of your equal championship leaders, Scott Ogden, the number 4, who has been pushed right back again. Oh, Rhys Irwin just chopping the nose off Jack Nixon there, close friend of Jake Dixon, of course, almost the namesake. Just a couple of minor differences there. But where is Scott Ogden? He's right on the back of Charlie Farrer. Cameron Horseman, though, out front with Fenton Seabright just a couple of bike lengths behind him now. Could this be it? Maybe 4 laps to go. Scott Ogden's got to make a move. He can see him out front. This is the time to really push, because Cameron Horseman, otherwise he's really going to be trying to check out.
Yeah, most definitely. You can see Seabright just lost a couple of meters there, a little bit scrappy, and just lost out a bit to Horseman, but he just seemed to regroup fairly nicely and back onto the number 23 now. So Ogden then has made it past into the front of this kind of second group as it is now. There is a little bit of a gap there. You can see there's a good few meters, but Seabright then straight back on the back of Horseman as well. And if these guys start dueling it out at the front as well, that will only help Ogden come back into it. But he's still got company from the likes of Charlie Farrer and being forced into another move to take that 3rd back then.
They've got their own duel going on though, but that gap is coming down again, importantly for Scott Ogden. We had a bit of front end movement there going into Luffield. He's on the exit now. He's got a really good run, it seems. So can he chase them down in this part of the lap? Rhys Irwin's shaking his head in the background there, probably a bit frustrated that he's not managing to catch these guys up at the moment, but still plenty of time left. So it's 2 by 2 as we see with the top 4. 3 laps to go in the British Talent Cup as Seabright's moved up the inside of Horseman again. These 2 are starting to engage in battle, but who's going to get the good run down from Copse towards Maggots and Beckett's? Horseman going to look up the inside. Is he going to make that move? Yes, he is. Is he going to go around the outside though? He does. masterful from Cameron Horseman, the current championship leader, but look what it's allowed to happen. Ogden right on their tails yet again.
Yeah, Ogden really used that to his advantage to tag back onto the back of this duel, but stunning move from Horseman, that. So brave to just stick it in the inside and then around the outside. Really nicely done, but Ogden, I think, is going to be pulling out and making a move for second here.
I've been sat quite
Maybe
comfortably.
even the lead, looking at that.
Yes, absolutely.
Maybe not quite, but certainly he seems
well.
ahead of Seabright by the time they tip in then. And we, again, have our two title contenders at the front of this race.
Well, I said he's got to be careful if Horseman's going to check out. I should not speak lowly of Scott Ogden. He's really well caught him in there as he's going right up his shaft there into the Vale. Blimey, he's getting so close. But what a drive that Cameron Horseman just had out of that. I was just going to say, I've been sitting quite comfortably with my feet up for the last couple of laps, despite all the action, but now feet firmly planted on the floor, getting a bit tenser. You're getting a bit more sweaty palms as we've got 3 laps to go of this British Talent Cup. It is all on the line. The championship title fight is position 1 and 2 with 3 laps to go here, and the man in 3rd place in the championship in 3rd position on track as well. And Scott Ogden looking very, very uncomfortable going into the braking zone there. Lots of front end movement, but he does make those little inroads on Cameron Horseman there. But what about his drive out onto the Wellington straight now? These 3, they have a little bit of daylight between themselves and Charlie Farrer, who was leading the race a little bit earlier on. Can he drag them in, coming down the Wellington straight and into Brooklands and Luffield again?
So it's pretty tense then now. We have the 2 guys in the fight right at the front of this race. Seabright's gone with him. Bit of daylight now, back to that fight for 4th. What will Seabright do as well in this scenario? How much will he risk it knowing the other 2 are up for the Cup? We've got 2 more full laps of Silverstone after this one is completed. I don't want to call it at this stage. No, 4.5 minutes left of racing then we have in the British Talent Cup for 2019. Look at that, the fastest lap yet again from Scott Ogden. He really means business. How about this? None of these guys are really succumbing to the pressure. Touching wood, touching my head. Do not want to put a commentator's curse on them, but what a lap that was from Scott Ogden. It seems then another 2:18. The best lap from Cameron Horseman was just a few tenths slower than that. Last time around, half a second slower than Ogden. He really means business. This is going to be one hell of a run onto the Hanger Straight and down towards Stowe. It really is. You can see there on the graphic, almost half a second quicker last time around was Scott Ogden. Looks like he's lining Horseman up for a move not too far into the future as well.
They couldn't be any closer to that white line. They're riding the white line as we go on down towards Stowe. Ogden round the outside. He does it perfectly there. Poor Cameron Horseman had absolutely no answer from there, and I'm nearly not getting my words out. It is that tense here.
It really is. Looks like Horseman then is going to strike back straight away. Maybe no, not quite on the brakes. Ogden holds firm, and then these guys just behind, they're getting closer and closer as these guys just slow themselves up a little bit.
Fran, these are what these Talent Cups are all about. Close and fast racing through and through. Fans had to stand up because it's getting that tense now. It is really getting extraordinary. I tell you why, Fran, stand up. Just realised you've got to go to Parc Fermé to interview the champion.
I have. My taxi scooter will be arriving.
Your chariot will be awaiting, but this is just extraordinary. The top 2 in the championship, 1st and 2nd, there they are as you come down to the arrowhead. This is where Scott Ogden was so strong. Will he make a move at the inside of Cameron Horseman there? No, he doesn't. He wants that run out along to the Wellington Straight for the penultimate time in the British Talent Cup. Fenton Seabright just sitting there very calmly. He's ready to pick up any pieces that may fall on the circuit.
He absolutely is. So Cameron Horseman then, he is going to have to go defensive. Ogden right there with him as we head very soon onto the final lap. But Seabright, do not count him out. He is looking pretty solid in 3rd place there, and he'll be an interesting conundrum come the end of the race, and already looking a bit threatening. Ogden takes the inside line, super defensive there.
Yeah, incredibly defensive, but Cameron Horseman just a couple of bike lengths there, so it's now or never. We're coming round Woodcote through our commentary position. The thunder going underneath our feet for the final lap of the British Talent Cup in 2019. Who's it going to be? Is it going to be Scott Ogden? Is it going to be Cameron Horseman out of 1st place? Fenton Seabright says, I want this win. He's going to mess up the apple cart, but I remind you, it is whoever finishes in front of the other, Scott Ogden or Cameron Horseman. They will become the winner. Jack Nixon could be getting involved. The number 2, who was 2nd place yesterday, he is there ready to pick up the pieces as well. He wants another podium to round out the year. It's going to be all about this run down the Hanger Straight, Fran.
It really is. You can see Seabright then. It looks like he is going to go for this glory no matter what the other two guys are doing. But Horseman, again, really, really solid under pressure at the moment.
Oh, my goodness me. They're going to be weaving all over the hangar straight, hugging that white line as close as they possibly can. This is it then. We go on the run down towards Stowe. 4 abreast. Oh, Jack Nixon cuts across them, all over them. But that leaves the door open for Cameron Horseman and Scott Ogden to go out the inside. Joel, they touch. Ogden nearly loses it as he hits the back of Jack Nixon, who is in the lead now. Oh, it's fed to Seabright going up the inside of the championship contenders. No, he doesn't. He just misses out there. Jack Nixon into the lead. Where has he come from? He's just been slowly biding his time. Well, we are entering the final sectors of this. A few more overtaking zones. Jack Nixon's trying to check out. He doesn't want anybody to be getting involved. He knows they have too much risk to be getting involved in a battle for the win with him, or do they? Cameron Horseman leads the way from Scott Ogden into Farm Curve. What about this run down to the Arrowhead? One of the key overtaking spots left now. Oh, overtaking their line. Scott Ogden coming from way back. Oh my goodness, how did they do that? Jack Nixon brake way too early for these guys there. Have they messed up their run down the Wellington Straight though? Fran your chariot to wait. Just check out who wins this. It is going to be a corker. Do not miss it. It is the final run down the Wellington Straight. Cameron Horseman in the lead. Scott Ogden in second place. It is all about this now. My voice is about to go. Ogden up the inside. Nixon up the inside. Are they going to all make it through? I hope they do. He bumps Ogden out the way. Oh, this is absolute drama overload. Ogden up the inside of Horseman. What about the run to the line? Ogden, Horseman, who's it going to be? Round Woodcote. Can he get him? Can he do a full Alex Rins? He is. Is he? I don't know. It's going to be neck and neck. It's Ogden. Ogden is the champion, and Jack Nixon takes the win. Oh my goodness me. How did my voice not lose it? How did those riders not lose it? Scott Ogden, you are the 2019 British Talent Cup champion. Here are the final results then. Jack Nixon with the win. The number 2, 0.057 behind him was Scott Ogden. Just behind him as well there, Cameron Horseman in 3rd place, rounding out the podium. Fenton Seabright, your pole position man, was 4th. Great season from him. Charlie Farrer 5th from Rhys Irwin. The Harts, Jack Hart and Brian Hart, not siblings, of course, 7th and 8th from Charlie Atkins in 9th. And then you got Harry Lee, Corey Tinker, Jamie Lyons, Jamie Davis, Ross Maguire, Torrin Collins, Ocean Jones. Zach Shelton got a finish to finish off the season, thank goodness. Just behind him, you had Hooper as well, and then 3 non-finishes. Scott Swan was the one who crashed out of Luffield. Oh, what a shame. And Edward O'Shea and Harvey Claridge there. Definitely saw 2 of those riders up and okay. Hope Scott Swan's all right after that. Here are the championship standings, however, though. Scott Ogden with the win then, 221 points, 4 back from him. Cameron Horseman, last lap, last corner. It came down to 161 points, equal. Wow, Fenton Seabright and Jack Nixon, though Seabright finishes 3rd because of the amount of wins and podiums he's had, that being Jack Nixon's 1st win of the season. Jamie Lyons moved up a place with his result in that final race there as well, ahead of Torrin Collins. Bringing up the rear, though, Zach Shelton, Ocean Jones, Edward O'Shea and William Lathrope. Probably pronounced that absolutely terribly. My apologies, William. What an end to a glorious day's racing at the British Talent Cup, of course. Well, there's Cameron Horseman in 3rd in the race, 2nd in the championship. Cracked a bit of a smile then. You can't be too disappointed, mate, because you've only just missed out a little bit. Shake of the hand from his close friend, Scott Ogden. But Jack Nixon takes the win. Ace stuff from Jack. Look how happy he is there. I hope Jake Dixon's been able to see him in Parc Fermé. They didn't quite see him down there. Jake, of course, managed to finish in the Moto 2 race earlier on, which he'll been chuffed with. I know he would have wanted more, but what a feeling that must be, standing on top of the podium, just standing on a podium, no less, at the British Grand Prix. Donna from Two Wheels for Life presenting the race-winning trophies. Of course, Day of Champions was back on Thursday. What a wonderful event that was. Just an emotional weekend all round, really.